Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you with another video. And this is a part of my series I do called the Bully Beatdown List. This is items that will get you on the Bully Beatdown List. These are items that are so bad, if you got beat up by a bully, you go tell your teacher, and the teacher will say, Jonathan, you deserve it. You bring it on yourself. Now, I'm not saying anyone should get bullied, but at times you have to be cautious of what you take to school with you, because sometimes, not going to say you're asking for it, but if you show up with that ugly Spock hat we looked at a couple episodes back, you're kind of asking for it. You kind of know what you're going to get. Maybe you're not technically asking for it, but you know going to school with something. You're going to school with a Little House on the Prairie lunchbox. Even if you're a big fan of the show, you know what's going to happen. You kind of bring it in on yourself. You're like, hey, sometimes you just have to act like you don't like something just so you don't get beat up by a bully. And today's a very special episode because we're going to go back to 1999. And we'll look at stuff related to just Jar Binks. Now, I know what you're saying, Junkman, this list isn't fair because if you came to school with anything Jar Binks related, you were guaranteed to get beat up by a bully. Even if you went to work with something with Jar Binks on it, you would get beat up by your boss. And rightly so. I mean, it's Jar Binks. Now, let's go back to 1999 and talk about the hype of the Phantom Menace. Some of you younger ones watching this may not remember the hype. It was huge. I know people get excited when there's a new Star Wars now, but this was 16 years with nothing when it came to Star Wars, except in the EU books and comics, but you know what I mean. Nothing on film. And this was an exciting time. Not only was Star Wars back, it was the promised prequels that George Lucas kept promising us way back in the 70s, and we finally got it. And I remember sitting at a theater and Jar came on. Now, we saw a lot of Jar before we went to see the movie, but we didn't know we were going to get that. I can remember sinking in my seat saying, how am I going to tell people that I'm a Star Wars fan after this? It was me so embarrassing. I mean, it was bad enough trying to get through those Newt Gunray guys. Man, that was kind of embarrassing there. But then Jar popped up on the screen. Let's just go on. Now, this is 10 items that's guaranteed to get you beat up by a bully if you came to school. And we're going to stick to school. If you're like, hey, I wasn't in school back in the 90s, well, put your mind in the frame of 1999. If you came to school with any of this stuff, will it get you on the beat down bully list? And let's take a look at this first one right here. This is a touch to hear me talking watch for your wrist right there. Before we all had a watch on our phone in our pocket, we had a watch right here. And can you imagine showing up? Can you imagine? Okay, it's summertime. It's May. You just went to see the new movie. Jar Binks was in it. You're about 11. You're excited. Everybody's talking about Star Wars. You're like, okay, I went to see it the weekend. After the movie, my pop took me to Kmart, and we picked up Jar Binks stuff, and I got this watch, and you're coming to school, you're all proud, you got your watch on. Then you start hearing rumblings about how the movie was a letdown, and how everyone hated Jar Binks. And you're like, oh my God, what if they see my watch? So you kind of hide it, it's not that noticeable. You put your sleeve down a little bit. But then you're sitting in class getting ready for the big test, making sure you got your number 2 pencil, make sure it's sharp, and you actually hit your Jar Binks watch, and it says, "Me so hungry for lunch, it's almost noontime." You dreaded lunch then, because you knew someone was going to step on your bologna sandwich while someone punched you in the face for bringing a Jar Binks watch to school, and rightly so. Hell, it might even be your teacher punching you in the face while the principal steps on your bologna sandwich. You couldn't go crying to mom and dad because they'll say, oh, tell you what happened. I told you not to wear that to school. It's Jar Binks, for God's sakes. But how many fists will this get you on the bully beatdown list for a Jar talking watch? And that adds to a talking watch. Let's see here. 7.5 bully fists for wearing a Jar Binks. Now, I think that number will go down some if it doesn't talk. You might be able to get away with it if it doesn't talk. Well, what about candy? What about just bringing candy to school? How could that be bad? Now, I don't know about you. I wasn't in school in 1999, but I was in school in 1989, and we used to bring candy to school and sell it. That's right. You go to the store, you go to like Sam's Club, buy a bunch of Three Musketeers or something, and then sitting in class when everybody's got the munchkies and you're hungry, you say, hey, Timothy, I got a Three Musketeer for you. And I can remember we charged $1 for it, and it wasn't a king size. And people were like, that's outrageous, but I'm sitting in science class, and I got the munchkins. How am I going to get past? I've got to eat something. So you would sell your 70-cent Three Musketeer for $1. Good times, good times, good times. Anyway, what if you came to school with just a sucker? You're like, I like Jar Jar Binks, I like sucking on things, and I like the flavor of cherry. How could this be wrong? So you come to school and, you're in between classes and you say, let me just suck on my sucker a little bit. You pull it out your pocket, flip open the Jar Jar mouth, and you start sucking away. Yeah, besides that, you might be licking it. You might be doing all kinds of crazy things with it. But a bully's going to see you. And they're going to say, look at that guy over there making love to Jar Jar Binks while you're sucking on Jar Jar Binks' tongue. Whew, they're not going to wait till the bus. No, they're going to walk up and slam your head into the locker and push you around till you drop that sucker, and then they're going to stomp on it. Now, I know this picture of the sucker looks bad, and this is mostly the promotional picture that you see all over the internet. It looks worse when you see the real thing. Take a look. I can't imagine anybody wanting to buy this at the store. If you ask me, if I was working at Revco and some kid walked up to buy that, he would get punched in the face from a Revco worker. You know Revco, it's kind of like Eckers. Or you're saying, what is Eckers? Kind of like a Rite Aid, I guess, or Walgreens. Anyway, dating myself, so let's move on. How many fists will this get you on the beatdown bully list? I bet it's going to be pretty high. Let's take a look at the chart and see. 4.5 bully fist. I can't believe it. I really thought that one was going to be a little higher, and it deserved to be higher. Now let's look at merchandise. I couldn't get it out. I don't know why that was so hard to get out. Let's look at Jar Jar Binks merchandise. And to me, anytime you wear a Jar Jar Binks merchandise, unless you're trying to be ironic with it maybe nowadays, but back then, any merchandise was guaranteed a bully beatdown. In fact, probably before you even got to school, if you had a Jar Jar Binks shirt, it'd be ripped off of you and thrown in the trash. But let's see, this isn't a shirt. Nope. This is the Jar Jar Binks baseball cap. I know it's not the best picture in the world. Believe it or not, it's the only picture I could find of it. Hopefully you didn't have this. But let's say again you saw the Phantom Menace and you couldn't wait to get to school to wear your Phantom Menace Jar Jar Binks baseball hat. How fun was that gonna be? Well, it wasn't going to be too fun because you weren't going to get far into school before you got a fist in your face because it's a Jar Jar Binks baseball hat. One, you got the jocks probably going to beat you up for wearing a baseball hat that has nothing to do with any kind of sports team, so you got to look out for them. And then you have the nerds that saw Star Wars and hated Jar Jar Binks and said, Jar Jar Binks ruined Star Wars. And let's face it, at least for a year he did, and then we got over it. But you weren't going to get far. I know you took your hat off, stuck it in your pants, made it look like you had a big bulge, and then you got beat up for trying to act like you had a big bulge when you didn't have anything big down there at all. But anyway, we're talking about a whole nother subject, and that's a whole nother video and another can of worms I'm not going to get into right now. So let's see the bully beatdown list. We're wearing a Jar Jar Binks hat to school, and not just any hat, this hat right here. Let's take a look. Six bully fists. I think that should be closer to a 9. I mean, that's an ugly hat. And it has Binks written on the back. I will have to go to the judges on that one. Judge, how did you get 6?
Well, at first I was like you. That's a pretty silly hat. But then I thought about it, and I thought back to 1999 when I used to wear mine to school, and I never really got beat up that much. Probably only about 8 out of the 10 times I wore it. So that's how I came up with that number.
I'm going to have to agree to do some disagreeing. So let's say it's Halloween. Star Wars The Phantom Menace came out in May, so by this time you already knew Jar Jar Binks was hated by the community, but you didn't care you loved Jar Jar Binks, so you wanted to put on your Jar Jar Binks and go trick-or-treating. That's going to be a lot of beating right there, because every time you come to the door, you're going to say, Misa wants some trick-or-treating? And you're going to get a Misa fist in your face if you go to a door that has caring adults. No adult's gonna let a kid come to the door wearing a Jar Jar Binks mask without at least saying, hey, you might want to take that off, or punch him in the face and taking his candy so you can give it to some kids that deserve it. Because sorry, if you're wearing a Jar Jar Binks mask on Halloween, you don't deserve any Smarties. You might get a sack of pennies. That's about all you deserve, a sack of pennies. Maybe you'll get enough where you can buy a decent Halloween costume next year. Jar Jar Binks mask. Look at it. It looks horrible. It looks horrible. Look at it from the side. It doesn't help it. It looks pretty bad. It looks like somebody ran over an alligator and it stayed out in the sun all day. That is horrible. And you know, any stupid little kid walking around Halloween wearing this is doing the Misa Moss talk. You know, Misa got some candy. Ooh, Misa got a king size Snicker bar. Well, Misa gonna punch you in the face. How many fists are you gonna get on this beatdown list? Let's see here. 8 on the beatdown list. That's a little higher too. And that one's a little higher. I thought that one was, I have to agree with that one. Because it's nighttime, you're wearing the mask, you might be able to get away. It's time to wear something silly. But you ready for the worst? You ready for the worst? If the judges don't give this one a high one, I'll be very surprised. Check out this here. Jar Jar Binks slippers. And not only are they ugly, not only are they stupid, not only are they fuzzy, that's enough right there to get you on the bully beatdown list right there. Fuzzy. You come to school, and I don't know why anybody would be wearing slippers to school, but let's say it's one of those dress down days, you know, where they're pajama day or something. And you're like, I'm so excited, it's pajama day. And they're like, what are you going to wear? I don't know. I sleep in the nude except for my Jar Jar Binks slippers. And they, well, you can't go to the school nude, Timmy. You can't go to the school nude. Because that's a whole nother beatdown list right there. That's a beatdown from a cop with a billy stick. So you don't want to do that right there. But let's say you said, okay, well, I'm going to wear some pajamas and I'm going to wear my Jar Jar Binks slippers. I don't know what these slippers do, but I hope they say Misa, Misa, Misa every time you walk, take a step. Wouldn't that be great? It's got a little Misa, 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 Misa. Just thinking about this wants me to go out into the street and find a kid and punch him in the face. Well, let's say you were a kid in 1999. Let's say you were about 10 years old. You came to school on pajama day wearing these slippers. First, I'm curious. Judge, how long would it take a bully to beat you up wearing these?
Well, how we come up with the score is we talked to a lot of bullies from all over the country, all over the world, as a matter of fact. And we asked them a bunch of questions, and one thing we did ask them about these shoes is, how long would it take before you bullied a kid wearing them? And the answer was about 11.7 seconds.
That sounds about right, before first period. But how many fists would it get you on the bully beatdown list? Well, let's take a look. 8.5. I agree. 8.5. That's a good high one right there. You deserved it. You're wearing Jar Jar Binks head slippers. Jar Jar Binks head slippers. Now, let's say you want to save money, but you want to go to school also. Maybe you're selling candy bars out your book bag like I did back in 1988. I don't know what they sell out their book bag today. Probably exclusive codes to OnlyFans accounts. I'm not really sure. But let's say you had a little bank, you put it on your desk, you sold your little candy. Maybe you sold pencils. Somebody's always breaking a pencil, so you're selling a pencil. And you put the desk there, throw your little money in, and you're saving some money, and you put it on your desk, and it's a Jar Jar Binks head. It's a Jar Jar Binks head. Now, there's two ways to go with this one here. First, let's look at the front of it, the Jar Jar Binks head. You know, you might get laughed at. I don't think you're going to get beat up. Somebody might take it and throw it. I think that's the worst you're going to get. I don't think you're really going to get punched in the face because it's on your desk, and you can play it off like, yeah, it's funny. I just put it there, put some money in. It's funny, ain't it? So I don't think it's going to get you on the Billy Butt bit. I don't think it's going to get you too many fists, but let's take a look here. Let's see. The judges agree with me. Only 3 on the bully beatdown list. But there is a problem with this toy, and that's if you face the toy facing you. Because then when your bully comes down the aisle, they're going to see the back of this piggy bank, and they're going to think you got a piggy bank vagina. And you don't want anyone in the school to think you have a piggy bank vagina. Trust me, again, I know from experience. Take a look at this vagina-looking head. I know you're saying, Junkman, what kind of vagina is you looking at? Well, Misa's looking at a Gungan vagina, and it looks like one. Trust me on that. So, the bully comes down. He sees you got a piggy bank on your desk, which is pretty bad if you're at least in middle school to have a piggy bank. I don't even like saying piggy bank. I'm scared somebody's going to walk in and slap me in the face just for saying that. But what does this get you on the bully beatdown list if they only see the back of it and it looks like a Gungan vagina? Well, let's see. 5 fists on the bully beatdown list. And not only that, again, they're going to take it and they're going to throw it across the room. So you might lose some money also. But let's look at something that's not at school. Let's say you're having a sleepover or a party and they're like, hey, I'm going to invite the cool kids. They're going to see how cool I am. I mean, this is 1999. I don't know what's popular with kids in 1999. They're going to be like, hey, you want to watch some Even Stevens maybe? I don't know. I don't know what was on TV. I don't know what kids were into in 1999. I barely know what kids were into when I was in school because I was usually into something totally different. But let's say for the sake of argument, they came over, they were chilling out with you, and they said, hey, let's all watch a movie. So everybody got a movie. You got the cot out. Maybe you got a cot. Maybe you have some portable chairs. And you came downstairs with your inflatable Jar Binks chair. Oh, you're getting beat up twice. One, you're getting beat up at the party from your friends or the cool kid you invited trying to look good. And when you get back to school the next day, they're going to tell other people and they're going to get you again. Can you imagine sitting in a Jar Binks inflatable chair? I can't think of anything much worse. And you know, if you're sitting in it, someone's going to pop it while you're sitting in it. There's no doubt about it. Someone's going to pop it. And they're going to say, aw, Misha broke his chair. And they're going to call you Missy Kid and laugh at you. So, let's see how many of these fists this will get you on the bully beatdown list. Let's see. Six fists on the bully beatdown list. I can't even say bully beatdown. Keep calling it Billy. What is a Billy? Ugh, anyway, let's look at another thing that you only see at your home. You wouldn't take this to school, I don't think. It's an 18-month calendar. Would never make no sense to me. I was like, why you want 18-month calendar? You get a 12-month calendar. Why would you want 18 months? I don't understand. But imagine getting a Star Wars calendar and you're going to hang it up on your wall, but then you get the calendar and it's all Jar Binks every month. And let's say you went to see this in May, you bought the calendar, you was excited and you're like, oh my God, Jar Binks sucked, but I have 18 months, I have to look at this Jar Binks calendar. You try to hide it your best, but you know a friend's going to come over, word's going to get out that you have a Jar Binks calendar. You got things already circled, like this is Harry's birthday, this is John's birthday, this is my birthday. So you can't just throw it away and start over. You got important dates on that. So once the word gets out, how many fists will this get you on the bully beatdown list? Let's take a look. 4. I'm kind of surprised at this one. Also, again, I think because they don't actually see it, they just hear about it. I think that saves you a little bit right there. I think you can just, if you just kind of stay away from the bullies, kind of hide, kind of, walk around like Obi-Wan Kenobi walking around in a Death Star, you might be able to get away until they find someone else that has like the Jar Binks watch or something. So you might be okay. Let's get back to, I guess this is a piggy bank thing. Hold your money in a thing, but nobody used it for this. It's another one you keep at your house, and it is god awful. It's a dancing Jar Binks bank. This thing went wah, wah. No, I'll take that back. Yes, it did do like that, but it also did a lot of sounds. You think, oh, did it play Star Wars music? Yeah, that's Star Wars music. I hope I don't get a copyright strike from John Williams. I probably will. Did it talk? Misa Bank, put your money in me, Misa Bank. It might have. It might even play music, but I don't know. You know why? Because I couldn't hear it, because that thing was... It's making all kinds of cracking and breaking sounds. If you ever saw this, or the Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn, if you ever seen any of those, you know how that's not a good sound effect. I know, I'm sorry, but it just was a horrible sound. So let's say word got out that you had this horrible dancing Jar Binks at school. You're gonna get punched in the face. You're gonna deserve it. But how many times are you gonna get a punch in the face? Let's see how many bully fists you will get. 5 bully fists on the beatdown list, which is about average. Again, is at home, so that helps you. So let's look at one more. Again, it's May. You went to see Star Wars on Friday with your dad, and of course it was your weekend, so that made it special because your mom and dad's been divorced for about 2 years, and you really don't get to see your dad that much. You get to see him every other weekend, but then sometime, he's gonna go spend it with his new aunt. And you're like, oh, I don't get to go to Dad's house, but it's my weekend. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, little Billy, I got to go out of town. We're going skiing. We'll do something next week. We'll go see that new Star Wars movie. So it's your weekend. You finally get with your dad. He takes you to go see the new Star Wars movie. He's a little grumpy when it's over because of how horrible it was. And you're fell in love with Jar Binks. You're like, Jar Binks was cool. So you head over to Kmart. And want to buy a Jar Jar Binks action figure, but your dad tells you if you buy that, I'm going to divorce you like I divorce your mother. So you don't get that. You just get a shirt because he's thinking, okay, I'll buy him the shirt. I don't have to look at that half of the time because he's going to be back at his mom's house. So it's kind of like a gift he gets you to get back at the ex-wife. Anyway, Monday morning you come to school, you put on your shirt, you're like, I'm going to school. I got Jar Jar Binks sticking his head out of the swamp. It's going to be a fun day. So you walk into school, no one really says nothing in the hall. Everybody's busy back and forth. They don't really notice. You're a little late getting to that first class. The bell rings. You're letting everybody else get there so you can make your grand entrance. You go into the classroom. Everyone in the seats look up and they start laughing at you. Jar Jar Binks t-shirt. Yep, you got a Jar Jar Binks t-shirt. The teacher says, come on up here, Billy. Show everybody your Jar Jar Binks t-shirt. Now you stand right there, and anyway, everyone else please line up because we're going to punch Billy right in the Jar Jar face. That's right. I'm sorry. That face is going to be right there on your chest, and each kid's going to go by. Pow, 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 pow. Hit that fist. At least I would if I saw a kid wearing a Jar. If I was driving down the road and I saw a 6-year-old walking down the street with a Jar Jar Binks t-shirt, I would stop the car, get out, walk over, punch him right in the face. And his dad would say, thank you for making a man out of my son. He probably would. So let's see how many fists this will get you if you went to school wearing a Jar Jar Bink pooks his head out of the swamp shirt. Let's see. Whoa! We broke the fist meter. That's a lot of dang fists right there. Whew, get rid of that. Wow. Well, that's a look at the Jar Jar Binks merchandise that was guaranteed to get you on the Bully beatdown list. Now, I'm going to go punch myself in the face for keep saying Billy. Let me know in the comments below. Were you in love with Jar Jar Binks? Maybe you were a kid when the prequels came out and you're like, I don't care. I'm a Jar Jar Binks fan. I mean, us kids that grew up in the late 70s and early 80s, we had that annoying thing from Buck Rogers. We had that like we didn't like that we really did. Remember that little robot Buck Rogers had? Twiggy, maybe that was his name, Twiggy. Just hate saying the name. Anyway, let me know that and more in the comments below. And as always, if I'm not telling you all my content, subscribe to the channel. We'll talk again soon.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.